Hi everybody, how are you? I'm going to start talking a little bit about some really important concepts in art. The elements of art are basically the basics. They're going to be like your building blocks. So if you see here, we have lines, shapes, colors, values, forms, textures, and space. And what artists do in order to make their art better, or in order to add interest, or anything like that, uh, is they use these building blocks, these tools of art, and they just organize them in certain ways. So now, if you look over at the left, we see lines, shapes, colors, value, form, texture, and space. Those are your building blocks. And over on the right, those are how you organize all of those building blocks. So now we have balance, we have contrast, emphasis, movement, pattern, rhythm, and unity. All of these have got to contain some types of building blocks or the tools, those elements of art. So balance is basically the visual heaviness on each side. You can have very symmetrical balance so that it seems as though it is, equally weighted on each side. With contrast, that could have something to do with color, for example. When you want to put two colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel, like blue and orange next to each other. Emphasis, that's where you're going to use those elements in order to bring emphasis to, say, a focal point of your work. So, say you want to take those lines, and with all the lines of your piece, you're going to have those lines go towards that main focus. Movement. You can create movement in lots of different ways too. You can create certain types of lines that emphasize movement. Okay, so it's basically how you lead that person, whoever's looking at your artwork, how you lead them around your piece. Pattern is the repetition. Rhythm involves repetition. Unity can even involve repetition. Because what you're trying to do with unity is you are trying to, and we'll just take a look right down here, unity, is create harmony in your piece. So sometimes variety can do that. Sometimes if you repeat a certain type of shape within your work, that's going to definitely bring unity to your piece. So what I want to do is go back to our piece that we were working on earlier, and I just want to describe that piece to you in terms of these concepts, these elements and principles of design. Okay? It's the elements of art and the principles of designing those elements. Okay, so now we're back at the piece that was created in Illustrator. And if you look, I created some of these spherical, these elliptical forms here, these lines, these shapes, and then I typed right onto that line or shape. And I repeated it to add unity. So that's one example that you can do that. Nature is in the middle, it's overlapping in front of everything else, which makes it look like there is space. So it makes it look like it's right in front. Now there's other things that you can actually do in Illustrator to emphasize space more, or to show depth more. Space, remember, is an element of art, and to create that you are going to maybe need to mess around with the sizes of things, okay, and the shapes of things, and the overlapping of things. So those are very, very basic things. Once we get into things like balance and unity, that's going to that's going to be how you organize other aspects of your piece. So here and here, I repeated that shape, and also here. And I did that to create a sort of balance. Now if you look over here, this is that spiral line that's in the middle. And I put that there, and then this kind of comes out over here. So I think maybe I can even add something else on these two sides to create even more balance. So there's lots you can still do to this piece to incorporate even more unity, even more balance. I'm going to keep it the way it is, just so I can show you another way of showing space. Okay, so here we go. So now if you remember right over here, these are our layers. In our layers we see layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. Now right now I have layer 3 as that word nature. Layer 2 actually includes the elliptical shapes. Those are what I'm really going to be manipulating right now or affecting. And layer 1 is just my background. And I have layer 1 and layer 3 locked right now. Okay, so now you can see that I can affect all of these, this, everything except the background and the word nature, which is perfect for what I want to do. So now I'm going to actually go to this arrow tool. This is your selection tool. So over here, these are all of your tools in Illustrator. So now I'm going to go back to this. And instead of having all of these words be the same size, I am going to go in and change some of the text. So I'll go in here after I click on my text tool right here, or type tool, and I'm going to make some of the words that are in the front and some of those letters too just a little bit larger. I might actually have to delete one of these words if I'm going to make them larger. Okay, so here we go. And notice how it's not affecting, oops, this one. Notice how it's not affecting everything, and it's starting to look like these letters are closer. Okay. So I think I made them all 18, is that correct? I think so, yeah. So now this is looking like it's coming right at you just from changing the size. I also want to make this look like it's behind this. So I'm going to go to this tool here. I'm going to click on this spiral, and I am going to say, go to my object right up here. I'm going to arrange it, and I'm going to bring it to the front. Okay, so now it looks like this elliptical word shape is actually going behind and then also in front. And I'm going to do the same thing down here, and over here I think I'm going to leave that as that whole thing is just behind this. And then here, so I might actually have to make this entire shape smaller than these ones to make them look like this is farther away. So I'm going to take this one right here, I'm going to go back to my type tool, and I'm going to delete one of the words because I know that it's going to go outside. And we'll just make these bigger. That's the 18. Now, I just realized something that's an issue. This is behind it, even though it shouldn't be. So now I'm going to select just this one, and I'm going to bring this to the front. So now it's going to look like this is larger because it's closer. So I'm going to arrange this, and I'm going to bring this one to the front. Okay, so this one's behind, this one's in front, and now it's really creating that illusion. Over here, I think I'm just going to make that overall shape smaller, and when I do that I'm probably going to have to move it out of the way first so I don't affect my spiral at all, and I can put it back to where I want. So for this one, let's make it a smaller shape. And some of the words are going to disappear, but that's okay. I just want it to look like it's going farther into space. It's still going to stay behind everything, and there we go. I think I just added a little bit of an effect using that element of space and changing the sizes of things to create more interest. I'm really emphasizing the center as being the focus. The word nature is definitely the focus because it's a contrasting color. So there's lots of elements and principles that I have used in this piece And I can always take it a step farther. You can always go back to your pieces later if you think of something and, change it or add to it. All right? Whenever you are creating a design as a graphic designer, you always want to consider those elements and principles of design.